Hello, I would like to take a minute and talk to you about a woman named Sherrel Courvelle who lives in Garland County, Arkansas, and who since 2017, all of this started in 2017. I'm going to tell you the story of how the corruption in Garland County, Arkansas, between the Garland County Circuit Court, the Garland County District Court, the Garland County Sheriff's Department, the Hot Springs Animal Control, and a place called SOZOS REHAB facility. There is a huge conspiracy going on between all of these entities of the government here in Garland County. SOZOS Rehab facility is a facility that is put together to rehab people from drinking and drugs and all of those things. This place is located at 243 Nathan Terrace in the county, out in the country. This is a place right here, SOZOS Addiction Recovery, and they are located directly in front of Sherrel Courvelle's property that is at 249 Nathan Terrace. And Sherrel Courvelle has almost 3 acres there and had horses and animals and a farm on her property there. SOZOS Recovery Center wanted to take her property away from her and get her off of that property because from the SOZOS Recovery Center, the only property between SOZOS and the Ouachita National Forest is a 3-acre property from Sherrel Courvelle. So they made anonymous phone calls into the animal control saying that the horses that were on that property were being mistreated. And I want to show you that when all of this started, Sherrel Courvelle had horses on her property, and she had a contract with a place called October Rains Equine Rescue. But all of this actually began on September 1st, 2017, when a man named Gale Black, who was a resident of SOZOS Men Rehab Facility, which is the property right in front of Sherrel, he ended up dumping a horse off in her back pasture without her knowledge or her consent. She did not know that at the time. She did find out that it was his horse. She sent letters and notices and also had a court case brought against him, and nothing ever happened. They closed out that case for him dumping his horse off at her property. That horse's name is Hannah. That horse remained on her property because she didn't know what to do with it because she never could get a hold of the guy. And that horse remained there until they were taken. On January 5th, 2018, October Rains Equine Rescue opened up for business, and Donald Snyder, Amanda Garibay, and Ronnie Courvelle were owners of this business. They came to Sherrel to lease her pasture land and to board their rescue horses. There was a lease agreement between them on January 1st, 2018, where she leased the pasture land for them to board their horses. And this is that lease. There's the lease dated the 5th of January where she leased the land. The October Rains put 4 horses on that property. They had 4 horses. One of those horses was that Hannah horse that Gale Black ended up dumping on her property. They also went to North Arkansas. The October Rains Equine Rescue went to North Arkansas, and they ended up getting 3 horses that were very, very, very malnourished. They were very skinny and weren't sure if they could actually bring them back to health. But those were all brought to the rescue. On October 10th, 2018, Sherrel was on her way to work when she got a phone call from a man named Andre Burns from Hot Springs Animal Control. He called her and told her that she needed to be at her house because he was going to have her arrested for 9 counts of cruelty to animals. She went home and she explained to them that the horses that were not well and those horses that were malnourished were not her horses. She showed him the lease that she had, and one of the rescue guys that owned the rescue happened to be on the property at the same time and was explaining that only 4 of the horses were part of the rescue, but the other horses and donkeys that were there were from Sherrel. Those were hers. The starved horses they picked up on July 24th, 2018. It hadn't even been 3 weeks. Sherrel explained that those horses, in the condition they were in, that in 3 weeks' time you cannot put that type of food and weight on a horse that fast because it would cause them to colic and die. She explained to them that they were on a feeding regimen and that October Rains was taking care of those horses. She then tried to show him the feed bill and show that, yes, they were getting feed, but there again, you can't just overfeed an animal of that size without making them more sick. You have to, they have to be regimented on a diet. He would not listen, and so on that same day, the Garland County Sheriff's Office at this point had come up, as well as the Andre Burns from Animal Control, and they falsely arrested Sherrel, taking her to jail on that same day at 1:40 p.m. Here's that citation. Here is where her arrest warrant is, where she was arrested for 9 counts of animal cruelty. The warrant that they had was only to take the horses, but it didn't say equine on the warrant. It only said the horses. But they ended up confiscating 11 animals from that day. They took Sherrel's 4 horses and 3 donkeys, and they took the 4 horses from the rescue, which there were 3 of them that were in starving condition. Now, on August 23rd, 2018, around 10:41 a.m., Animal Control and a dog veterinarian showed up at Sherrel's private property, and they drew blood on one of the horses without a warrant. So they have come back on the property after she has been arrested with no warrant. Here is pictures of them being on her property with no warrant and to seize fluids from one of the horses there named Hannah. Again, this was all done without warrant, without any paperwork whatsoever. After Sherrel was released from prison as well, she checked her game cameras and realized that Hot Springs police had been showing up and trespassing on her private property about an hour after she would leave each time from her house, and that the sheriff's department was also coming on her property without warrant, without knowledge, or without permission, and they were there. On September 6th, 2018, Special Judge Tapp ordered temporary custody of the animals, or for them to be taken. And so on September 24th, 2018, the horses were taken by the Sheriff's Department. They seized 11 animals, 2 Mustangs, 1 burro, 1 donkey, 5 horses, and 1 colt. The court order stated that they could only take horses, with no mention of donkeys, which I mentioned a second ago. Those horses and donkeys were taken to a racetrack facility, not a shelter, not a place that you would store horses, but took them to a racetrack over 25 miles away. After the horses and donkeys were seized, Sherrel Courvelle called the Bureau of Land Management. She spoke with Scarlett Frost, who told them about the sheriffs taking all of her animals. The director, Scarlett Frost, showed up at the sheriff's department with a U.S. Marshal the next day on September 8, 2018, and threatened to arrest the sheriff's deputy for seizing the 2 Mustangs and 1 burro, which is a donkey. Sherrel was then given back 2 of her Mustangs and 1 donkey, or 1 burro. Scarlett Frost had took those 2 Mustangs and 1 burro into her custody along with the U.S. Marshal and brought those animals back to Sherrel. That proved through the BLM, which is the Bureau of Land Management, and the federal government, that the federal government knew that Sherrel was not, I said Sherrel was not mistreating her animals. She had contracts with the Bureau of Land Management, and she had animals from the Bureau of Land Management. Here is that, showing that she had a contract with the Bureau of Land Management for 3 animals. She adopted them, and the Bureau of Land Management, Scarlett Frost, and a U.S. Marshal, which are federal, made sure that those animals were put back into her possession. This is proving, there again, that Sherrel was not mistreating her animals, and that, yes, there were 3 horses there that were very skinny and had been malnourished, but they were in the process of trying to bring those animals back to health, and that takes time to do. And something interesting that also happens on September 10th, 2018, after September 6th, when Judge Tapp signed an order. He's a special judge. He signed a temporary custody order for the horses, but on September 10th, 2018, you have Sherrel, you have a judge, Meredith Schweitzer, granting that order, even though those horses had already been seized before that order was granted. Sherrel then ended up going and filing a petition to get her animals back. She filed a petition for the return of her seized animals. She was supposed to have a hearing within 14 days from the date of those animals were taken. That hearing was scheduled for September 24th, 2018, but that hearing was canceled and never rescheduled. Sherrel Courvelle, back in 2018, was supposed to have a hearing to have her horses put back into her possession, but a continuance was filed without her knowledge or consent, and that hearing was never held. Sherrel was denied her due process on being able to get her horses back, or even attempt to try within a 14-day period of time. That goes on to say this was September. It is now December 12th. Sherrel still does not have her horses. Her horses are still in the care of a racetrack, a racing facility that races horses instead of a shelter. And so on December 12th, 2018, Jack, one of Sherrel's personal donkeys, died in the sheriff's care and Richard Hess's custody. That donkey was seized in September, and Jack the donkey was in perfect health. during that time. Here's a picture of Jack, the donkey. He's in perfect health when he was seized. They killed that donkey in their possession, and no vet was called. No one was called to take care of that, and no one was charged for his death. No one had brought charges in his death, and so that had happened. On December 31st, 2018, Sherrel received a bill from Richard Hess for boarding all of the horses, totaling $7,382. Here is the bill that she received. They took 11 of her horses on September 7th. They were brought to the racetrack facility. Who knows if they were racing those horses or abusing those animals? We don't know. On September 11th, the BLM came to their farm. This is their bill showing that BLM, their condition, she says their condition was poor, but that is not true because we have video of them being taken that day, and all of the horses and donkeys were in perfect condition, with the exception of the 3 rescue horses that were definitely in bad condition. On September 11th, the Department of BLM came and they took 3 horses out from under this racetrack and delivered them back to Sherrel. There again, they're stating that on December 12th that their donkey passed away. They said it looked like colic. Well, if that's the case and that donkey passed away on December 12th, then from September, when the horses and donkeys were taken, till December, this racetrack facility had mistreated or not fed or done things wrong and killed that donkey in their possession. They now had a bill for $7,382 for Sherrel to pay for boarding the horses, which they stole. Sheriff's Department and the judges stole her personal horses without probable cause. Not only that, the Arkansas Constitution states that a free man cannot have any of their property taken, diseased, or without a trial by jury of your peers by the law of the land. And so a trial by jury of your peers is a common law trial, and you can't take someone's property without having that verdict on the record first. And there, to this point, had been no trial. At this point in December, months after the horses were taken, there still has been no trial, no hearing, no nothing. On February 2nd, 2019, all of a sudden, the district court decides to transfer the case to a circuit court case, and what was 9 counts of animal cruelty had mysteriously turned into 9 counts of aggravated cruelty, which is really strange. How can you get 9 counts of aggravated cruelty when 11 animals were seized? 3 of those animals had returned from BLM, and Jack the donkey has died, and they lost or sold, who knows. All of a sudden, the racetrack has lost or sold one of the other horses. So what started off with 11 animals being in possession of the Sheriff's Department and Richard Harris's racetrack for horses has now only 5 animals. Now they have 5 animals in their custody, and she's being charged with now 9 counts of aggravated cruelty to animals when they only have 5 animals in their possession. We still don't know what happened to 2 of the missing horses that were either lost or died in their care. On February 4th, 2019, Judge Hernsberger issued a warrant with a bond amount for $5,000 to arrest Sherrel for 9 counts of aggravated cruelty. This is the second arrest over the same charges that she had been arrested for before. On June 22nd, 2021, Sherrel was then again arrested for the 3rd time. Before a court trial or a hearing had ever taken place, she has now been arrested 3 times. She has had to bail out 3 times of jail. They have changed the charges from 9 counts of cruelty to animals to 9 counts of aggravated cruelty to animals, and now they are changing it to 9 counts of aggravated cruelty and marking her as a habitual offender when she never has had a trial or a hearing from the first time that they took her animals in 2018. That is now 2021, 2 years later. She still has not had a court case. Here is where she had to bond out again for the 3rd time. Now, from September 7th, 2018, until all the horses were sold out of Richard Hess's care from his racetrack, he had been keeping a boarding bill for Sherrel to pay. Sherrel's bill ended up being $30,000 for boarding her horses at the racetrack facility from the sheriff's department stealing all of her horses without an indictment, without a presentment from a grand jury, without a ruling from a jury. All of her horses were taken. During the month of December 2020, Sherrel decided to sell her mobile home to come up with the $30,000 to pay the boarding fees so she could attempt to get her horses back. A man named Eric and Maddie Bellinger had seen her post on Facebook to sell her mobile home, and so they came and were going to try and buy it. Let me get to where this is in the exhibits. Here's the purchase agreement that Maddie and Eric Bellinger went into to purchase the mobile home. She was selling it so that she could help get the money together. This purchase agreement says that they put down $2,000 cash, and the balance was to be paid within 14 days, which was $13,000 more. There it is. It was signed on 12/25/2020. This happened during COVID, and during COVID time, Sherrel did not have the title to the mobile home, so she ended up filing for a lost title. She was not able to get that title back within 14 days because things took longer. It ended up taking her 3 months to get that title back. But she got a phone call on January 7th, 2021 from Eric Bellinger, which stated, "Hey, Sherrel, it's Rick. I'm going to show you the voice message so you can see." I'm sorry it's turned around. I don't know how to flip it, but here it is. It says, "Hey, Sherrel, it says Rick, but it's supposed to be Eric. Just calling to see if you got your title yet on the trailer. Not if you do, fine, let me know. I'll bring the rest of the money, and let me know when I need to come to get my $2,000 back, because it's been 14 days now and we need to move on so we can buy your place or go find something else. Please give me a call back." And there you go. The very next day, on January 8th, 2021, the following day, Sherrel reimbursed Eric Bellinger's earnest money of $2,000 because it says here, she gave the $2,000 back because she still had not received the title back from the DMV, even though it had been 14 days. So she went ahead and gave him back. There's his signature saying that he had gotten the money back. There on January 8th, there it is, dated January 8th. 2 weeks later, on January 20th, 2021, Eric Bellinger's wife, Maddie Bellinger, called her friend J.D. Crow, that she went to high school with, that worked for the sheriff's department, and she filed a false police report. Let me get to it. I'm going to get so you can see the exhibits here. Here is the police report. You will see that on January 20th, 2021, you have a lady named Maddie Bellinger, Eric Bellinger's wife, files a police report here stating that she stole the $2,000 of the earnest money that was put down on that house. This is 17 days later, or 12 days later. She paid Eric, we have it right here. What page was that? There we go. Right here you see very clearly that Eric Bellinger was paid back the day after he gave the voicemail asking for his payment back on the 7th. She gave it to him on the 8th of 2021. And then his wife goes and files a police report on the 20th of January stating that Sherrel stole the $2,000, which is not true. It later became very clear that Maddie Bellinger and her husband Eric Bellinger are caterers for the SOZOS Recovery Center. That's where they have recovery. And just so you know, when you go to court for drug use or drug abuse, they have a way that they will court order you to certain recovery centers. The judges, the prosecuting attorney, the sheriff's department, and animal control are all lined with pockets with the SOZOS Recovery Center because they all get kickbacks from this little system right here. And the SOZOS Addiction Recovery Center were the ones that made the phone call saying that the horses were being mistreated, which they weren't. And now all of a sudden, this Maddie Bellinger lady, who Sherrel is trying to sell her mobile home, which she posted on Facebook to sell it, Maddie Bellinger came and was going to buy this home or pretend that she was going to buy this home just so she could file charges against Sherrel for theft, which that is not true. Maddie Bellinger and Lieutenant J.D. Crow and Goodman, there's an Officer Goodman. Both of these guys are part of this conspiracy. Sherrel was first arrested on January 29th, 2020 by Criminal Investigative Department Detective Goodman and J.D. Crow with no warrant signed. There was no warrant signed. They just came and arrested her over the charges, the false charges and the false police report that Maddie Bellinger put into place. A simple phone call to Sherrel would have known that she had proof that she had repaid that money on January 8th, 2021, 12 days prior. She bonded out, even though she was arrested for this, for $2,500. And she even went to trying to prove to them, showing them that they had been refunded all of their money on January 8th. But, of course, the police wouldn't listen. Nobody would listen to her. On February 8th, 2021, Judge Meredith Schweitzer also would not allow Sherrel to testify to the misunderstanding of her innocence, and so they continued to move forward with these cases, even though Sherrel could prove that she did have her title. Let me go show you her title. That she did have her title for her mobile home. Not only did she have her title for her mobile home, there it is right here. Here's the title of her mobile home right here. She could prove that she had her title. She also could prove that she had refunded their money, but still they would not dismiss the charges. In fact, instead of dismissing the charges, they decided to make the charges even worse and take the case from a district court case into a circuit court case, making it therefore felony charges. She was arrested the second time on March 5th, 2021, over the same charges filed by Maddie Bellinger, whose husband was repaid 12 days sooner. Sherrel had to bond out again a second time for $2,500. Sherrel continued to tell them that Maddie Bellinger had filed a false police report and that she had all of the evidence, but the court, the police officers, and no one would listen to her. Well, the reason no one would listen to her is because everyone is in on the scheme. Everyone there wants SOZOS to have Sherrel's property, which is right behind SOZOS. It's 3 acres, and they want them to have the property. So they are purposefully going after this woman, Sherrel, and they have taken all of her horses with no cause. They have now arrested her for theft and saying she doesn't own her mobile home for no cause, which is not true. And then now they have changed all of these charges with the horses and also with the theft, the wrongful theft of $2,000. They've now changed those into felony crimes, moved it into circuit court on both of those accounts. Well, Sherrel is still fighting all of these charges. And let's remember that the Arkansas Constitution of 1836 states that no free man shall be taken or imprisoned or disseised of his freehold liberties or privileges or outlawed or exiled or in any manner destroyed or deprived of his life, his liberty, or deprived of his property, except by the judgment of his peers, that is a trial by jury, that is a common law court, or the law of the land. And the law of the land, guys, is common law, or the constitutions. It also states in Section 10 of the Constitution that no person shall for the same offense be twice put in jeopardy of life and limb in Section 12. So she has now been put in jeopardy of life and limb twice on the horses because they have now arrested her 2 times on the horses case and twice on the false police report filed by Maddie Bellinger and J.D. Crow and Detective Goodman. All of these guys are in this together in a conspiracy. Now, you may think I'm just making things up, but by the time I get finished with this, you will absolutely see that this is a conspiracy against this woman. So on October 29th, 2021, Michelle Lawrence then again did a second criminal information packet on Sherrel, and this time she is saying that she is a habitual offender, and they're increasing her sentence to 15 years per offense or per charge with a $10,000 fine. All of that happened there. So after Sherrel had been, she's still trying to figure out how to get her horses back. She has $30,000 that she owes Richard Hess from the racetrack, who was holding her horses unlawfully, illegally, yet was charging her to hold them because they were stolen from her by the sheriff's department. Sherrel contacted another buyer. This lady's name was Latricia Fitzwater. This woman wanted to buy Sherrel's mobile home, and so Sherrel made a contract with her on, she made a contract with her. I'm wondering if I have where the exhibit is, but she made a contract, and somehow on May 18th, 2021, Detective Goodman made contact with Latricia and convinced Latricia that Sherrel did not own the mobile home, and he wanted Latricia to come up and file a report because he said that Sherrel had previously scammed someone else and could not get the title. So Latricia drove down to Hot Springs and she filed a report. This is going, packet 4. Let me go look this up real quick and have it pulled up just so you guys can see it. Packet 4. Now, Latricia Fitzwater, what page is this? Page is 5. Okay, so here is the police report from Latricia Fitzwater that was filed on May 10th, 2021, saying that Sherrel had stolen $16,000 from this lady. But that's not true. Sherrel had asked $16,000 for the mobile home, and Latricia had paid $8,000 towards the mobile home. She still owed $8,000 towards the mobile home. And so, but she filed theft charges for $16,000 when she never even finished paying the $16,000 for the mobile home. She only put down a down payment of $8,000. And so Sherrel Courvelle, they ended up filing another charge on her. And so Sherrel was arrested on June 22nd, 2021 for the 5th time. Sherrel had documented proof that the detective Goodman was lying and falsifying documents. She presented that in court in front of Judge, I think it was Joe Graham. It might have been Judge Schweitzer. And anyway, the judge did not listen to her, did not allow her to show her documents, and was angry. And so the detective Goodman filed an affidavit, and Sherrel was arrested again. And this is where she was arrested here again. All right here. And it looks like that was Judge Graham that had done that. On June 25th, 2021, so this was all of this was taking place here. On June 22nd, on June 25th, after Sherrel got out of arrest, here's where she was arrested again. Meredith Schweitzer was the signing judge on this. There's her bail bond. all from Letitia. This comes from Letitia Fitzwater. You show here that Sherrel could not get a hold of Letitia Fitzwater, so she just wired the money right back to Cody Fitzwater, and she wired the $8,000 that the girl put down, Letitia put down for the house. And so there's the $8,000 going back immediately back into her account. All of this transpired to where Sherrel now had charges for 9 counts of aggravated animal cruelty from the horses. She had been arrested 3 times over the same charges of that. Michelle Cole Lawrence, the prosecuting attorney, had then even gone in and made it habitual abusers. And then she also did the same thing. Sherrel was arrested twice on the false police report filed by Maddie Billinger, who is a longtime friend and caterer of their parties at SOZOS, and friend J.D. Crow and Detective Goodman, who then went after another lady, Letitia Fitzwater, and had her file charges when Sherrel proves that she owns her mobile home by title and even gave that money back immediately once she realized what was going on. All of those is looking at Sherrel from 2018. Now, remember, we're in 2021 now. All of this started in 2018. Sherrel is facing over 200 years in prison. Over 200 years in prison on all of these charges. She's facing over 200 years in prison. She's never harmed anyone. She's never damaged anyone's property. She's never stolen anyone's property. None of that. At this point, during that time frame, SOZOS, the rehab facility, began doing all kinds of things, like trespassing on Sherrel's property. The men from the facility that lived there, because there's lots of people that live in that facility, and so they would continue to trespass on her property. They would mess with her animals. They would mess with the animals that she had on the property. They also tied her mailbox shut. They were having sexual relations out in her fields with Sherrel's minor children, being at home and walking out through the fields and catching people doing these things. All of this is police reported. I'm actually not going to go through all of that. There was a whole another 2 years worth of that stuff that went on. Sherrel would continue to file police reports with the Garland County Sheriff's Department for trespassing, for destruction of property, for theft of property, things that they were stealing off of her property. All of those police reports, nothing ever happened from any of those. But at the same time, Kayla Lovon and Brad Lovon, who are the directors of the SOZOS men's facility, were filing charges on the kids' dogs, saying that the dogs had trespassed on their property or the dogs were loose. I don't know. There was a lot of charges, and Sherrel ended up with 5 more court cases or 4 more court cases in district court from SOZOS. Yet at the same time, the police department would not press any charges on them for trespassing and for the things that they were doing on her property. It was very clear that they were trying to get rid of her, and that SOZOS had been working with the Garland County Sheriff's Department, working with the courts, the prosecuting attorneys, and the animal control. All of these guys were in it together, working on those things. When you come to the end of this, you will see Brad, who is the director, him and Kayla Lovon, are the directors of the SOZOS facility. They sent a text message to Sherrel that says, "It is such a shame that you can't come home because of all of your felony warrants. It has taken us years to get rid of you and all of your animals. You can raise hell all over social media about us, but the bottom line is you are nothing more than white trash with warrants. My wife took care of something that we could not accomplish. She single-handedly got rid of you and all of your nuisance animals. I guess you messed around and found out that you have zero pull with law enforcement here. Stop by and visit the next time you are out of hiding. You don't have to worry about pinning up your geese anymore." And then he has a smiley face with cries on it. He is literally admitting that you can see you have zero pull with law enforcement because the sheriff's department is working with SOZOS. They have harassed her. After all of this had gone down, Brad Levon killed 21 of Sherrel's birds. She had ducks, she had geese, she had chickens, she had roosters. Anyway, she had 21 of those animals, and he killed them. That's why he is saying you don't have to worry about pinning up your geese anymore, because he murdered all of her animals. That we have proof of that in here as well. We have proof that Maddie Bellinger and her husband were working with SOZOS. We have proof that the Garland County Sheriff's Department began harassing Sherrel's minor children, her 14-year-old daughter and her 16-year-old son and her 21-year-old daughter and her grandson, who was 4. Over a 5-month period of time, Sherrel and kids and grandkids were harassed and assaulted and threatened and pulled over for no reason, about 25 times, I think, is the amount. If you go look at the jury verdict that we have, it states in the jury verdict how many times that was. So now we come to what happened. So on August 1st, 2023, Sherrel, in all of these cases, she challenged jurisdiction. And when you challenge jurisdiction, jurisdiction must be put on the record. And the judges of all of these court cases and the prosecuting attorney never did answer or even respond to the challenge of jurisdiction. She challenged jurisdiction on August 1st, 2023. She challenged jurisdiction again on September, I think, 16th, 2023, again in October, and then no response was made. She noticed them repeatedly, and they would not respond. Sherrel proved on their record that she was not a U.S. citizen, that she was not a municipal citizen of the United States, but that she had gone back to her American nationality as an American state national, and that she had reclassified and reconveyed herself back to the land and soil jurisdiction. Many of you may not understand what I'm talking about. We can go and explain that on a second video, and I will explain, but I will let you know that our Federation of States for America, which is the Federal Republic of the United States, the Republican form of government, has been up and in session and running since 1998. It is the Federation of States, and it operates as the United States of America, unincorporated. Our fiduciary is Anna Von Reitz, or Anna Marie Reisinger. She has been our fiduciary for 26 years. The American Republican form of government is lawfully standing All of the claims, all of it is proven on the record and is recognized internationally and recognized as the Republican form of government. All of our states came into session in 2020. All 50 states were called into session, and all 50 states answered that call and have established our Republican form of government in all 50 states. Arkansas's Republican form of government is the Arkansas Assembly. It's been up since 2020. On August 27th, 2023, we set up our courts and set up the Arkansas State Courts, the Arkansas State Common Law Courts. They were set up correctly. Let me go here. I don't know why it's not going there. They were set up correctly, and not only were they set up correctly, but notice what went out all across the country. We put notice through Ex parte Milligan, which was a case in 1866 after the Civil War. See, what happened was when our Civil War happened, all of the common law courts in the southern states, the carpetbagger judges came in, and our common law courts were taken down in the southern states. You can go read that in history. You can go look it up in history. But I want to let you know that on August 27th, 2023, we impaneled our grand jury. We elected all of our officials, and our common law courts for Arkansas, the state court, went into session. Elections were held, and everything was set up properly. We began to notice the Provost Marshal General, the Judge General, the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Marines, the military departments. We also noticed Joint Chiefs of Staff, all of the armed forces. We noticed all of the government officials in Arkansas, that our courts were in operation. This was done on August 27th. We have all of the green cards proving this. This went. If you look through here, you can see the certified mailing number that we used, who all it went to. We sent it to Commander-in-Chief, Donald Trump. We also sent it to the president of the foreign corporation, Joe Biden. It was also sent to the Judge Advocate General's office. We also sent it to Sarah Huckabee, the Arkansas State Governor, State Department of Public Safety, the U.S. Attorney General, Merrick Garland, Chris Wray from the Director of FBI, the Attorney General in Arkansas, Tim Griffin, Janet Yellen, Secretary of Treasury. We also sent it to the Eastern District U.S. Attorney. These are your federal courts. We sent it to Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken. We sent it to John Thurston, the Arkansas Secretary of State, the Department of Finance, Arkansas Natural Resources, all of the judges, the Lieutenant Governor, the U.S. Marshal, the Western District Court, which is our federal court here in Arkansas. We also sent it to DHS. We sent it to the Department of Military. We sent it to the judges, the Arkansas Sheriff's Association. Basically, I could count all of these and tell you where we sent these to. This Arkansas Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, U.S. District Court, that's our federal court here with those judges. All of this was sent on August 27th, 2023, an entire packet of Ex parte Milligan, letting all of these officials know that are about our state and our state government, that our state government was up and running, that our state courts were now up and running, and that we had fallen under the United States of America unincorporated, which has been lawfully and publicly established since 1998 and internationally known. So all of this was done. These guys all had the ability to write back, to object, to say something, to reply in any way possible. Not one of all of these people that we sent all of this stuff to ever replied, ever said we object, ever said that your courts are not real. None of them ever responded to these things that we sent out. This is the court that is in session. On November 5th, 2023, Sherrel Courvelle brought her case to our Arkansas common law grand jury. She brought her whole case before our grand jury. Our grand jury then sent out indictments. Those indictments were process served to all of the judges and those prosecuting attorneys and those that were part of this crime. That court case, they also the grand jury asked that a trial by jury be heard, and so that trial by jury was heard on January 21st, 2022. I'm going to show you, I think it's in Word. Here is the letter that we sent to that our grand jury sent to the state officials. This was sent to the Arkansas State Governor, Attorney General Tim Griffin, David Clay Fouts, the Western District Attorney of Arkansas, the Arkansas Supreme Court Chief Justice Dan Kemp. This was a note telling them that our common law courts went into session on August 27, 2023. Ex parte Milligan was invoked at that time. Notice was given and received by your offices. Copies of those receipts are enclosed, so we sent the green cards to them. We let them know that the grand jury met on 11/5/2023 and indictments were issued, and that there would be a trial date from the Arkansas Common Law Court set January 21st, 2024 at 2 p.m., and we gave them the ability to come to our court, to the Common Law Court, and to watch the trial as a public trial. None of them ever responded. None of them ever did anything in response. None of them said, oh, this is fake. Nothing, which it's not, because the common law is the law of the land, and it is the law of this American government. So that was sent out to them. That was dated December 31st, 2023. On February 22nd, 2023, the Arkansas Common Law Court came to a jury verdict. That jury verdict is here online. And that jury verdict found Sherrel to be innocent of all of these charges in these courts. She was found innocent. There was no victim. They never found a victim. They never found an injured party. They never found anything other than what was completely uncovered by the court, which you can read in the jury verdict, was that there was a massive conspiracy against Sherrel Courvelle from all of these things I had mentioned before, from the SOZOS Men's Rehab, from the Garland County Sheriff's Department, the Hot Springs Animal Control. The judges at the Garland County Circuit and District Court were all involved, as well as the prosecuting attorney, Michelle Cole Lawrence, and her husband, who was the under sheriff at the Sheriff's Department. His last name's Lawrence, too. So her husband was, all of them were part of this conspiracy. So that verdict came out on the 22nd of February. On the 29th of February, 2024, Sherrel was at her house and was arrested, and her house was raided by over 30 SWAT team, high-powered rifle, busting in her door with the bamming ram that rams through her front door and back door. She was there with her minor son, and with of course, no weapons, no anything like that. And she was taken into custody on February 29th. Why they would need a 30-man, SWAT team to come in, and it's just the same thing they do everywhere across the country. Anyway, that was done, and she was taken into custody. And remember, she's never had a trial on any of these cases, anything. All this goes back to 2018. We're talking 6 years later. No case, no trial. There's no speedy trial can be said here, because all of this stuff is way back. She's now been sitting in jail since February 29th. We are now in August. She's been in jail for almost 6 months. They won't let her bond. She cannot get out. We have tried to go through the Arkansas Supreme Court, and the Arkansas Supreme Court denied hearing the case. Tim Griffin, the Attorney General, has said that that our common law courts are frivolous and fictitious and a theory, which I don't know how you can say a common law court in America is a theory when there's plenty of common law cases that have been shown all throughout our history of our courts. So she's still in jail. At this point, the case she has filed a habeas corpus with the United States District Court in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and it was done in June, and it's now August, and we still have not had those judges call her up. The judges there is Susan Hickey and Barry Bryant. Those judges have still not called her up as a habeas corpus to even give her a chance to speak on jurisdiction. In fact, they've given Michelle Cole Lawrence 30 days to respond, which the prosecuting attorney, Michelle Cole Lawrence, if she responds at all, won't respond till the last day because, like I said, it's very, very, very apparent and clear that this is a destruction. They are trying to destroy this woman. Sherrel she has not seen her children in 6 months. If she sees them, it has to be on a video conference. They are not allowed to have visitors. She cannot have a bar attorney because British accredited registry is a foreign government and a foreign law and a foreign court on our American shores. And so the Constitution, the Sixth Amendment, says that she can have the help of counsel, the assistance of counsel. But she can't have any help from the outside. They won't let her work on her case from inside. She is not allowed any access to computers or any law libraries to work on her case. She has not been outside and seen the sunshine in 6 months. She does not get to go outside. They don't have time, so she's just being held at the county detention center. There is no, you get to go outside for an hour a day. She has not seen the sunshine in 6 months. She has been inside. That is, that all of these things are not right treatment. And so basically what we are trying to do is to get the word out and let people know that these things have happened, that our courts are up. We have a verdict on it. They are not recognizing common law at all, even though they are a foreign court system. And I want to show you on where you can find all of our information. So all of the information you can find on our case if you go to thearkansasAssembly.net. thearkansasAssembly.net. When you go to thearkansasAssembly.net, here it is right here. This is our Republican form of government here on Arkansas. This is our state government, land and soil jurisdiction. That's what jurisdiction we are, land and soil. It's the law of the land. The courts in our states that have been operating as county courts and state courts and Supreme Courts in our states are what are called sea jurisdiction courts. They are British territorial, maritime, and admiralty courts operating illegally on our land since the Civil War. Our courts were never reestablished. They were taken over by foreigners. And that can be proven, and I will do a second video on that. That can be proven through Erastus C. Benedict. Erastus C. Benedict in his book, he is actually the #1 person on maritime and admiralty jurisdictions in our country, and they do not have jurisdiction on our land. Anyway, so if you go to find all of this stuff on Sherrel's case, you go to the ArkansasAssembly.net, you click on Arkansas State Common Law Court. When you click on that, you will scroll down here. If you see these right here, the habeas corpus for Sherrel, this is what we have in federal court right now. The petition for a writ of prohibition was filed with the Supreme Court in Arkansas. They refused to hear that case, but there's a petition for it there. You also have Attorney General Tim Griffin's response to that case. And Anna Reisinger, who is our fiduciary for our federal government, the United States of America Unincorporated, also sent a letter to Chief Justice Kent, which he refused to respond to or do as well. That was all from the Arkansas Supreme Court. They did not do anything. But where you see habeas corpus from Sherrel and the claim attachment, all of the habeas corpus stuff is the stuff that is now in the federal court at the U.S. District Court with the writ of error. All of that stuff is in effect. When you scroll down, you will see jury final verdict. There's her court case. There's the final verdict. That is 20 pages. It is an in-depth look at what all happened, what all transpired. If you look here, there's exhibits, and it tells you what packet to go to. You can actually go through this whole verdict and then just go to the packets below, and I'll show you where those packets are. Exhibit 168, page 213 to 240, packet 8. You'll just go to the packet that it says and then type in that page number, and bam, it takes you right to the exhibit, right to the evidence to prove everything that we have been saying. All of this is on this webpage. All of it is completely proven. There is no doubt that all of this is horrendous, what is happening. If you look here, it says court of record. This is Sherrel's suit. This was her court of record. When she brought her original suit to the common law court and to the grand jury, this was her suit. It's 35 pages long. It tells you every single thing that happened, step by step, what happened and where to find the exhibits. There again, when you see the exhibit, it'll say exhibit. There it is. It'll say exhibit 177, 178, page 372 in packet 8. You would just go to packet 8, type in those page numbers, and the exhibits that she's talking about at that time are right there. This way you can follow along and see the proof as you go. This is 35 pages. It would do you good to sit down and read the record, the court of record, her suit, and the jury verdict to have a full idea of exactly what happened. If not, just go with the jury verdict. Our jury members did such a great job at putting all of this into great detail so that nothing was left out and that you can see the conspiracy. They actually prove the conspiracy. They prove all of that in their verdict. Also, if you go down and look, you will see the law of this case. This is all of the laws. This is 60 pages, but this is all of the laws that have to do with everything. If it's highlighted, it has to do with this case. And so you can see the laws that were used to move this case forward. All of this is in here. This was the law that was used. We have what's called the timeline of events. This actually is really good to look at if you are wanting to, kind of see where the exhibits are and what they are. This is a list of every single exhibit, where it is, what it is, and just a timeline of the events of everything that happened so that you can see it in a shorter version and where to find it and where it is. So there's that. Now, when you come down to here, these are those packets. Remember, when you have the exhibits, you have packet 1, there's 9 packets, so 2, 3, 4, you just click on the packet that the exhibit tells you to do. So if it's packet 6, you click on packet 6, and then once it comes up, you just go to the page number. Say it says page 15. So you just type in page 15, hit enter, and there you go. You have the proof of there's all kinds of proof in here. Yes, I'm sorry. So there's another part in here. SOZOS did steal one of Sherrel's dogs. She tried to file charges on the dog that SOZOS stole, and she had proof. There again, they wouldn't press charges. All of this stuff is in here. I did not go over everything that has happened. I just tried to hit the high points so that you guys would know. But basically, we have a woman in jail. Sherrel Courvelle has been in jail now for right at 6 months. She can't get out. She can't get help. She can't see her children. She hasn't been outside. She can't get legal help unless it's a, quote, bar attorney, but in common law, we don't use bar attorneys because bar attorneys are British attorneys of maritime admiralty jurisdiction, which is courts in the sea, and we don't live on the sea or in the sea. We live on the land. And so I can explain more of that to you guys later, but there again, you can find all of this at the you can find all of this at the ArkansasAssembly.net, the ArkansasAssembly.net, and we also have a YouTube page. Our YouTube page is the Arkansas Assembly. We have been given updates there about Sherrel's case, but that our YouTube channel is the Arkansas Assembly. Our webpage is thearkansasassembly.net, and we just wanted to take some time to get the word out about Sherrel. Please feel free to contact the Sheriff's Department, the Garland County Sheriff's Department. Feel free to contact the, let me just pull them up here, the Garland County Sheriff's Department. Here's all of their stuff. The governor. Feel free to contact the governor. Any of these people to complain or to help get the word out that this is a travesty that is taking place. And I know that Sherrel's not the only one. We have seen so many corrupt officials all across this country, and it's time for all of this stuff to end. And so I just want to take a minute and just ask if you could help in any way by sending something in or calling or just praying for Sherrel. And anyway, I just want to say thanks to all of you guys. Please help us. And you can reach us at thearkansasassembly.net. There's a contact there. You can email us. Please let us know. Thank you so very much for everything. And hopefully we will be coming with a good report soon.